Welcome to the Travel Ins Podcast. My guest today is costume designer Mona May. Mona travels the world for her design work in movies and television. Her designs have become iconic, and I was fortunate enough to reach her on a short break between two film projects happening on two different continents. You've made it when you've designed costumes that are Halloween costumes.
Yes, and a few of my movies did that, so I'm
Yeah. Well, House Bunny, 8mm.
Well, Romy and Michelle, High School Reunion, a lot of people dress as that. Definitely Clueless, yeah. And Enchanted too, which was a pretty big movie for Disney, and a lot of people dress as the prince or the princess.
So thank you so much for being on the show today.
Of course.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I know I caught you in between.
You have. You literally have.
I know. I remember you told me a couple of weeks ago. You're like, I'm out of town right now. I'll be home for a few weeks, and then I'm heading back out. So hit me up.
Yep. Yeah. Perfect timing.
How much traveling, pre-COVID and even now with COVID, how much traveling do you do for your work?
It really depends on the year. Some years I do everything in town,
Right.
and some years, like this year already, I've been gone since December. What is it now?
May.
May. Mid of May. I went to Vancouver in December. I got back end of April, and I've been here since end of April, and I'm heading out on the 23rd to New York and Berlin. So pretty much most of the year, probably I'll be out of town. So it really depends, but it could be 80%, it could be 20%, but films take from 3 to 5 to 6 to 7 months. So depending on what size of a film I'm on, and how long I'll be gone. I mean, the movie in Germany is not that long for me. So I'll only be away for like 3 months total, which is not
only.
I know, we are gypsies. We are, film people are such gypsies. Our lives are so strange, I think, to the outside world. How do we really? But I'm used to it. It's kind of being on the road, and I mean, to me, it's all about my art. It really is about what I create and design, and that gives me the most satisfaction, more than being home and maybe cooking dinner. And I do love to garden. I miss that, but it's the price you pay kind of for the creativity.
I know I'm talking to a business traveler when they go, what month is it? Oh yeah.
Well, which city am I in?
Yeah, exactly. I've had that too.
I mean, I'm lucky. I'm not, most of my jobs, I get to the destination and I'm there, which is nice. I mean, I really enjoy Vancouver, which is the last city I worked in. I did a movie there in 2019 for 4.5 months, and it was during the summer, and I have to tell you, I fell in love with Vancouver. It was just such a beautiful experience. I mean, the nature is incredible there. I actually traveled with my dog.
Okay.
So, he's a mini husky. He loved the weather there, and the mild summer, and, the water and the mountains and the forests and stuff. So this time I went, and I was there during the winter, which was a little bit intense for kind of a Californian, even though I wasn't born here, but I've been here many, many years. So, those are definitely challenges when you're shooting in a different climate.
Yeah.
Because it's, rain. I'm not used to rain. I have to get all the gear. There was really not that much snow, but truly rained every day when I was there.
I was going to ask you because, if you're there for 4 months, especially like Vancouver, where you can get big swings even in the same day, how does that affect I mean, if you're doing an outside shoot,
you pretty much prepare the costumes for rain.
Okay.
And then if it doesn't rain, great, but you have to. So the girls have the right footwear, or the actors have the right footwear. They have the right coats, you just have to be prepared. I mean, you have all the under layers, for them if it's cold, and if it's warmer, then maybe you take off some of the under layers from them. I mean, there was one funny scene we were shooting, actually. It was, I think, first or second day of shooting on this show. And I mean, I think I have gotten like 11,000 emails regarding making sure that the kids are going to be warm, because there were 3 young actresses, 2 out of LA, not used to the cold.
Yeah.
And I was like, minus 11 Celsius. I don't even know what that is in Fahrenheit. Very cold.
It's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were shooting outside in the park, by the water, by the ocean. I mean, on the cliff, you know, and they were like, okay, you better have them like, you know, bundled. So we're like, oh my God, we prepare, we get all the stuff, those coats, liners, you know, underlayers, something under their raincoat, whatever. They come to set and they literally look like Michelin. And the director was like, what's happening here? I'm like, you wanted them warm.
They're warm. I promised you they're warm.
We had to, like, you know, take some of the layers. I mean, they had to sit in the swing. I mean, it was so funny. I mean, we literally were laughing our heads off because it's like, okay, here you go. They're not going to get cold, you know?
Do you remember the movie, The Christmas Story?
Yes.
Yeah, shoot, right. When he came out, and the bread, he's like, I can't. And then he fell down. He's like, ah.
Completely. I mean, you know, it's so funny, but better be, you know, over prepared than under prepared, truly.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it's that's what happens. I mean, I'm shooting. I mean, even in LA when it's like 100 degrees, you know, and I mean, how do you keep? I was shooting Santa Clarita Diet with Drew Barrymore. We were shooting in Santa Clarita in the summer. I mean, we had like
hot.
It was 115.
Hot.
We had to have cooling tents. We had cooling kind of suits things under, you know, kind of like ice pack things stuck in people's backs, you know. I mean, we couldn't, like, there was one scene we were trying to shoot where Drew was jogging and it was like, no, she can't jog at 115. She's just gonna collapse, you know.
Jog at night, maybe. That's about it.
Yeah, you know, so those are things that are, you know, definitely challenges. Whether, you know, I think the other thing is you don't really know the city. Like, I'm going to Berlin right now and I know the city, but it's on lockdown. You know, I don't know what stores are open.
Yeah.
You know, now inventory in stores is very low on things. This movie takes place in the car. Liam has to have the same, you know, he wears one outfit, so you have to have the same suit times 20, the same tie times 20, you know, like all that kind of stuff. So one of the kids gets injured and is in the car with him. So she gets injured in her legs. I probably have to find a pair of pants, you know, 20 off because it's going to be blood and all the different stages of the blood. And that's not easy, you know, when you are kind of like, especially, you know, I mean, the worst was like Hawaii, or like I shot once in St. John.
Yeah, you got to get stuff there and it's not possible.
And you have to, like, you know, get a boat or get a plane or whatever. You know, it's like one pair of shoes and one size. And even, you know, now it's Amazon and all this stuff, some places it's not that easy. I mean, in Canada, even with Amazon is not that easy. You know, you don't realize that some places are not as equipped.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember working in India, you know, and we were like completely in different scenario how they do the job there. You know, they had a little van that was like turned into a wardrobe truck, and my assistant that I brought from LA was 6'2", and he couldn't even, you know, stand up. The costumes are kind of put in bags and tied, you know, they not really like hang with hangers, kind of with the tags, how we have it here. And basically we were like a traveling circus. So wherever we got, the company traveled, you know, with all the equipment, trucks, wardrobe and everything. And then we'll set up and we'll be like tents. So they will erect tents, put carpets, and kind of, you know, there was the wardrobe tent, there was the tent makeup and to eat. And I mean, it truly was such a crazy and cool experience, you know, of filmmaking.
Do you appreciate, I know I can tell you appreciate, but do you enjoy working on, because if you only work on like TV shows, it's kind of the same every day, you know. Whereas I mean, God, India, Berlin, Vancouver.
I love it. I love it. I think it's super exciting, and you know, everything is learning, everything is new. I mean, you know, my background is very interesting because I was born in India. To a Polish dad and German mother. I lived in India till I was 3. I was born in Calcutta. My dad was a diplomat, and I actually learned English there as a little baby because my nanny, you know, that's the language spoken there besides Hindu. And then I moved to Poland. That was, you know, the communist time in the 70s.
Yeah.
And it was very strange because I had to go from like this extremely exuberant, colorful world of, you know, plenty to kind of this very gray, sad, as a kid, I was always a very artistic, very kind of open and happy kid. And I used to say to my mom, why is nobody smiling here? What's happening? And, unfortunately, my dad passed away as when I was a teen, and we moved to Germany with my mom. And that was before the martial law.
Yeah.
In 1981, because she knew things are going to go bad. So, we kind of got out, and I lived in Germany. I actually lived in Berlin before the wall was down. So that was a very cool experience.
Yeah, you were there.
I was there, it was still very dark, very kind of edgy punk rock, great experiences there. I did my fashion internship there. And then I really wanted to come to the States. I wanted to go to fashion school in New York. I ended up in New York. Then I ended up in LA in fashion school as well. And in LA, I met, you just meet all kinds of people when you're a young person, hanging out, partying. And, so I had friends at UCLA and USC film school. And they were like, hey, you do fashion. Can you help us? We're doing a little thesis films and stuff. And
that's crazy.
I was like, cool, sure, why not? And I have to tell you, it was like a love of the first sight for me, because it was just such a more of a jump into in depth of creating a character through the costumes, really getting into somebody's psyche and who they are, where they were brought up and what school did they go to, socioeconomic background. Are they depressed? Are they happy? And costumes it's such a cool thing, because costumes and clothing in real life as well tell a story of someone in seconds. When you see actors on the screen without them even opening their mouth, who they are by what they're wearing, and that really fascinates me. And I think this is what I really get off on. How do you tell the story with the costumes? How do you convey that message with telling the story of, from the script pages, telling the story with the actor, because each actor playing that part would be different, their body shape and how they kind of exuberate energy and who they are, so that really is fascinating to me. I love also the very collaborative way that films are made, because you have a director, so you really are, you collaborating with someone. You are bringing ideas to their vision, because he's kind of the chief, this is the director studio, that's their idea, and I'm there to kind of support it. And then you have director of photography, somebody who does the camera and the lighting, and how are they going to do it? What's the color palette of the film? What is the journey of each character? What happens? Where are we? What era? What time? What type of country, city? All of that. So
time of year, even.
Yeah. So each of the things really just, you learn. I learn from historical books, photography. I get to really dive into these worlds and create them. And that's really, it's incredible, job. It's not easy. Like we were talking earlier, you do have to get up at 5 a.m. You have to travel. I work with local crews that I may have never met.
And you don't know the local stores of where things are.
Local stores, I don't know the people. Will they have my back, or they just lied on their resume and they really don't know what they're doing, which happens too, so it's tough, and it's tough to be a department head in sense, because you are responsible for the look for the film, you're responsible for the money, you're responsible for the budget, you're basically responsible for delivering it on time. If something doesn't get there on set, I can't say, oh, Susie forgot this.
It's you.
My freaking head is on the line, because every minute that they're waiting on set and cameras are ready to roll, it's minutes of rental of equipment, payroll, people.
I was going to say
hundreds of thousands of dollars per minute, probably.
I was going to say, living in Los Angeles area for 40 years, I've been on sets and all that. I don't know that a lot of people realize how many people, like if you see 2 people on the film, there's 100 people behind.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It depends on the set and all that, but there's a lot of people working behind there. Just security, craft services, truck drivers. It goes on and on, because I see them when I drive by with roller skating or whatever on the beach, and you see a set, you see them set up, and you see 20 trucks
after trucks after trucks. Yeah. And then you have, then you have the visual effects, special effects, music, editors, colorists, the color of the film. It's endless. Even people don't even understand my department, I think, how it works. Some people think people just come in their clothes, or, you just pick a shirt. Clueless, Alicia Silverstone had 60 changes. How do
Well,
you, like, you have to create it. You have to shop all that stuff. You have to bring it into the room. You have to try it on. You have to do alterations. You have to return the things you don't want and organize each outfit per scene and then create this story with it. Is she depressed in the beginning and happy at the end? What happens in each scene color wise? I mean, people remember the yellow plaid suit from Clueless. It's
yeah,
famous. It's the opening of the movie. And, we didn't just arbitrarily picked up the yellow suit and said, hey, you wear this. We were thinking, hey, what's the scene? It's opening of the movie. She's going to be in the quad. It's going to be green. There's a lot of people are going to be crossing.
yeah.
We definitely wanted something plaid because it was like, it's shared the rich girl take on, Catholic school girl uniform. And we tried, a blue suit. We tried a red plaid suit, blue plaid suit, and nothing was really working. And not till we put the yellow, it was like, yes, this is it. This is going to pop. She's going to be like the queen, the sun, the ray of sunshine.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. And I mean, I have support of 20, 30, 40 people sometimes just in my department, depending on a movie. I have the shoppers, I have the pattern makers, I have the people on set who take the continuity. I have a kind of a supervisor who does the money and, tracks the budget.
What about background?
Background, we dress all the background. Yeah. So then I have a whole crew that, has to dress the background in the morning. They come in their regular clothes, whatever, in their pajamas. And then we create, whatever that is,
Yeah.
in Clueless. At the time when we were shooting the film was the 1994. Everybody was in
Kind of post grunge.
It was grunge, so we had to really give them the look. So they were as beautiful and fabulous as our principal girls, so yeah, it's definitely a lot of work and a lot of people behind it.
Well, that's why I love talking to people like you, because I want people to understand what it's like out there.
Yeah.
When we go to, like, when I set up at a rodeo, people show up, they're like, oh my God, you're so lucky. You get to work in Las Vegas for 16 days, I'm like, yeah, well, it's 4 days of hard labor setting up the walls, because we set up our booths.
Right.
And then the rodeos for 10 days. And so
Right.
we're selling for, and then you're around thousands of people.
Oh my God.
You're eating hotel food, three meals a day, and then 2 or 3 days of hard labor at the end.
Right. Oh my God, for sure. I mean, it's funny. I was one year I was shooting a few years back. I was shooting in Boston on a movie, and it was such a busy show, just a lot going on. It was called Zookeeper with Adam Sandler and Kevin James.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, but it wasn't, it was intense with the animals and and my mom came to visit from Germany to Boston, and she saw more Boston in 2 weeks than I saw Boston, in like 3 months because I just was so freaking busy. I mean, I would go out maybe on Sunday, but then you have to do your laundry and then you have to maybe chat with friends and, catch up and stuff. And
that's what I was going to ask you with all these places you've been to. Like for me now, when I travel, I'm in my 50s, so I want to see. I want to see what I can see when I can. I'm not of the mindset that, well, I'll get it when I come back.
Right.
So now when I go, I always put a half day at least so I can go to the museum or see whatever's of that area. Do you do the same thing?
I do the same thing. Yeah. And I think like you said, I think now more so, maybe like in the early 30s or whatever, I was partying more, like, hey, meet the crew in the bar and hang out,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually a big nature person. So that's what I love to do. I really love to go to the museum, but also like when I was in Vancouver now and it was lockdown, so there was not really much else to do, but going skiing, going to the beach with my dog, really doing big hikes. I mean, my job is so intense. I mean, it really is. There's a lot of pressure, to deliver.
I wouldn't want it.
I don't know why I do it, but I love it. So I don't know what else I could do, but I really need kind of the antidote to that stress, and nature really does it for me. It's especially in places like Vancouver, and Berlin too is beautiful. Like I'm actually super excited because one of my friends there just bought a farm. So I'll be like, yeah, I get to go to the farm and, hang out with chickens and they have
do the animals.
Stuff. Yeah.
I always bring my camera with me now.
Yeah.
And then I'll just take shots. Like, if I go to Mount Rush, I had to open up a store in Dickinson, North Dakota. and it
Uh-huh.
was like an hour and a half north of, maybe 2 hours from Mount Rushmore.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I might not ever get a chance to come back. I'm going to take the 2 hour drive down, go see Mount
Nice.
Rushmore, do all
Nice.
that.
Yeah,
So
I get it. I totally get it. I went to
yeah,
Whistler skiing. I was like, I'm gonna
yeah,
take the two
got to.
hours. And, like yes, Whistler had so much fun. And my dog is a mini husky, so he just loved the snow. It was
Yeah, I
just,
was gonna
it
say
was just
he was
great.
finally like, whoa, I can use the fur
We're
finally.
not- I know we got back to LA and it was such a perfect weather for him because wet and kind of cold and a lot of wind and like the wet earth and I mean he just was in heaven. We got back to LA. He's like, "What up, mom? It's so dry here. It's the desert. Let's go back." But he enjoyed
Are you
it.
taking him to Berlin?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. Really
How
enjoyed it.
difficult is it traveling with the dog now?
It's more and more difficult because
Yeah,
due to COVID, you can't really take dogs under the planes anymore right now, so they can't really travel in the crates. So you have to have a special permission to travel with them on
right.
board. And domestically, it's easier because you can. I don't know if you can have
Except
the
for Hawaii.
except
Hawaii
for
is
Hawaii. Yeah.
difficult.
Even Adam
Yeah,
Sandler couldn't take his dog to Hawaii.
yeah.
That's how strict they are. Adam Sandler, and he loves his dog. So yeah, it's tough. But with some certain paperwork, you can travel with the dogs. I mean, overseas is definitely even more hard.
Yeah.
I mean, Lufthansa that I'm flying with had really strict rules, but we filled out all the paperwork, and I had all the papers that you can travel. Like service dog or type of emotional support dog,
Yeah.
those kind of things. Even though people kind of really take advantage of it because they take ostriches on the plane and then it's like they ruin it for everybody.
I saw.
It's like, come on.
What's the craziest thing you've
Ostriches.
seen on a plane? An ostrich? Have you really seen an ostrich?
No, I haven't, but the one I saw like a Saint Bernard that they were trying to like
I saw a
stuff.
Great Dane.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, come on.
I'm like, I mean, a full size, full blooded Great Dane. I'm like, it's bigger than most of the people on the.
Yeah, get a freaking seat.
Was that a lap dog or?
Yeah, exactly. No, mine is a mini husky, so he's
Yeah,
only 25 pounds. He's perfect. But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
traveling is definitely, I mean, I think with COVID is just, it's been kind of difficult,
Sure.
to jump through all the hoops and stuff. I mean, just, and interestingly enough, you would think it would be more empty, but it hasn't been really.
At all. Well,
Yeah,
lately, especially.
yeah.
I remember at the end of last year, even when we got locked down again in November,
Hmm.
and it was, got to be honest, it was kind of nice driving up the 405 freeway with no one on it.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, it was like, whoa, there's no one here, you know. And then, but now I'm starting to hit the traffic again,
Yeah,
but and the airplanes are filling up.
airplanes
So
are filling up. Yeah, when I flew back from Vancouver, it was packed. I
yeah,
mean, the business class, I mean, the whole plane was packed.
yeah. Well, and
Uh,
it's just people need to get back. It's going to be interesting to see now that we're opening up, but some countries are still, like India is still
yeah, I
in
mean,
the
Berlin
heat
is
of
not
it.
opened up yet either. Berlin is on
Yeah,
lockdown. So
yeah. A lot of Europe is.
yeah, yeah. So, I mean, they supposedly lifting some of the restrictions end of the month. I think they
Right,
lifted their curfew. Um, but in order to go to clothing stores, you have to have your proof of your test or negative test results to
right.
go shop for clothes. And for me it's hard because there's lines. I mean, if you want to go to a store, even in LA these days, I just was in the mall here shopping for Liam, and there were like lines in front of the store, so you can't just walk in and get your stuff. You have to wait 20 minutes, and then there's a huge line inside.
I made the mistake of going to the mall with my wife when she needed to go into Sephora.
Oh, line.
I'm like, nope.
Yeah, I'm out.
Nope.
I'm out.
You wait in line. I'm going into 8 other stores while you wait just to get into
Right,
the store.
right. Yeah,
Yeah, it was
so
crazy.
so it definitely slows down our work, like
Yeah,
our preparation, where it maybe took us like half an hour, now it's 2 hours.
yeah,
And before we kind of knew about the COVID, in September when I started Punky Brewster here in LA, I was at Universal a lot. I mean, we were quarantining the clothes, it was intense.
yeah.
I'm lucky that that's over because that was that, my job is really, like you said, last minute. Everything we get actors last minute, directions, change of directions last minute. So having that extra time to get things done really puts a lot of pressure on us, because production is kind of going.
They don't stop.
They don't really stop. I
Yeah.
mean, we were shooting on Punky, we were shooting 12-hour days every day. And, things were like, I mean, the train is going fast.
Yeah.
And, with the way that we have to do our job, it takes so much more time. It's intense. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in Berlin. I mean, I have a full crew there who know the city and know the stores, but also it's going to be interesting how this is going to work out there.
Well, you speak German though, so that's a
yeah.
big advantage.
Right, but I think again, like with the card, making sure, like not a lot of people are vaccinated there, so they're going to have to be tested every day to be able to go to the store to bring the freaking paper. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Will they also take my silly card that I just got from the pharmacy, which is like a silly little paper card? I mean, will they think it's real? I don't even know.
Say not to laminate it, and they say they're.
Oh, they say not to laminate it?
I don't know. I'm not going to speak on behalf of COVID. The last thing I heard was they were saying, or it was something like, and I didn't read the article. It was like, don't laminate without doing this or this, and there were certain things you have. Yeah, so I was like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's like, okay, here's my card from LA.
Like, I don't know. I promise it's real.
Yeah, but I get to see my mom, so this is great. I haven't seen my mom in 3 years. So here's the perks of.
Oh, there you go.
Of my travels. I actually did a movie 3 years ago in Bulgaria, of all places,
Nice.
which is a really interesting place to be because it's still very post-communist kind of, not so Western as you would think. I mean, like I like to eat super healthy food, LA person and all this stuff, and there was a lot of bread and a lot of cheese and a lot of meat.
And a lot of smoke. Is there a lot of smoking in Europe?
A lot of smoking, yeah.
Which we don't get here.
Oh my God, in Bulgaria it was so bad, the smoking. Yeah. People would smoke around the food table.
Oh yeah.
Like 20 guys. I had to put signs on my wardrobe truck, please do not smoke 20 meters from my truck, because I mean, my clothes would smell like smoke.
Smoke.
I can't go to these people who say stop smoking.
Because it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. They're just going to think you're some crazy Californian, help not. But anyway, sorry.
No, go ahead.
But that was, it was an interesting experience. I actually really had a good time there. The people are super nice. I also love crystals, so that they have a lot of crystals in Bulgaria. So I got to go to some kind of a warehouse where, I was just like a kid.
The geos?
Yeah, the geos,
yeah.
I meditate, I'm very, I get my California thing on. With the meditation and the crystals, but it was so fun. I literally was bringing like 20 pounds of rocks back to my LA to my class as gifts, and half of them for me. It was hilarious. But that was a fun trip too, because I got to fly. The movie was like in November, ended right before Christmas, and I
nice.
In my deal I got to fly to. They flew me to Berlin, and then I flew back to LA from Berlin. So that was really cool. So, there are fun perks, and I get to fly business, which is nice. Same here. I'm going to go. I finished the movie like mid-July, and then I'm going to stay with my mom for a couple of weeks.
Nice.
Just to kind of hang out before some other job calls me, to another place.
How in advance are you?
Depends. I mean, sometimes I know ahead of time. This Berlin job came out of nowhere.
Okay. Just
at the end of my trip, my work in Vancouver, and I just jumped on it. It was like, sure, I'll just have a few weeks back home, and then I'll go to it. It was like they were looking for someone. There was no one available. I had a connection. They recommended me. They called me. I had the meeting. Zoom meetings with the director. I had the Zoom meeting with the producer. We love her. Make the deal with my agent. Bam. Here I go.
That's crazy.
So yeah, so it's definitely can be last minute. It's weird because for most people, I think it would be really hard because you can't plan things.
Yeah, anything.
And it's,
Friends, family,
yeah, you
trips,
kind of like, okay,
occasions.
you have a wedding, okay, I may
Yeah.
be there or not, or like vacations, I can only buy things where I have 100% refund
Yeah.
because things can change. But I'm used to it, just kind of
The way
like,
it is.
yeah, the way it is.
How many interns have you burned through?
Many. These days it's tough. I mean, I do a lot of mentoring. I do a lot of
Yeah.
teaching at different schools, and it's a big part of my life now. And really, I try to help young people really understand how to be professional. What that really means. That you have to be dedicated to the job. This is not a job that you just sit around and you point, or you have to roll up your sleeve. You have to be there at 5 a.m. You have to drive to a location like Santa Clarita, which is an hour away,
Yeah.
every day. That you have to listen, that you have to
You
follow.
can't be late.
You can't be late. And I mean,
Because if
that's my
you're late,
biggest.
then everybody's late.
I mean, like, let's say you're picking up on the way to work that shirt that's going to work that morning from
Yeah.
the dry cleaner or seamstress. If you're late, I'm fucked. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, it's just, there's no way, so it's tough these days to really, I think, get kids who maybe feel that maybe they should be the designer already.
That's what I'm alluding to.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I don't
I
want
can
to.
see a lot of kids going to fit them or wanting to be
Yes.
in the fashion industry thinking, oh, it's glamorous. And then they show up and they're like, oh, what do you mean I have to work 6 to 6 in Santa Clarita?
Yeah, exactly.
That's like
I mean,
a
I had
14-hour day.
people telling me, oh, can I go have dinner? I'm like, dinner?
No, it's called the craft
Well,
services.
yeah, exactly. Cancel. Or oh, I'm going to do Vegas with my friends this week, and can I leave early on Friday? I'm like, no, Friday we work till midnight.
Yeah.
No, you can't go. I mean, it's like, sorry. So it's just really not understanding, and I work really hard. I mean, I've been doing it for over 25 years, and I put the time.
Yeah.
I have to get up early on Friday and have a director meeting, at 7 a.m. with Berlin, and whatever, it's got to get done.
It's got to.
It's just going to get done, so that it's interesting. But I think, I'm really dedicated to mentoring, to teaching, to really trying to give kids some light about that, and I do find that the ones that really want it get it, and I get really nice messages after my podcast or talks to schools with thank you, like thank you. That was because I try to be very real and forward in a sense about that, like you have to show up, you got to really be able to communicate. You got to dress nice. You can come in your sweats. You work it's like in the fashion business. Yeah. It's costumes. Yeah. So funny questions that you have, but good ones, because it's really, it's tough out there.
Well, I have 2 daughters, 25 and 26. So, getting, and they've had some very cool jobs, and my youngest daughter, because she was professional and because she did things the right way, she got even cooler jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at 21, 22, she was doing, she was a personal assistant. So her first job out of high school was a PA for Jared Leto.
Wow.
And she worked there for a year. She got to go on tour with him when they opened up for Lincoln Park.
Wow. Amazing.
And
wow.
then
That's a test. That's a test of true.
That was her first job.
Wow.
Ever in her life.
Wow.
And then
she's smart. She's a smart girl.
Her senior year, she ended up being a PA for Kim Kardashian, and did that for 6 months.
Wow. That I can't even imagine. Wow. Good.
She was one of 13. So, I mean, she had several. But, and then when she graduated, she couldn't be an intern anymore. So Kim's people called her up and said, are you looking for a paid job? And she ended up working for Chloe for a year and a half.
Amazing.
And, but because she was professional, I mean, so,
You have to be. I mean, the stakes are so huge for these people, I mean, they have so much going on. If they don't have somebody who answers the phone and, that you can reach them at 24/7, you fall out. I mean, it's like, I have to answer my phone. Like, I have to be, I mean, I turn it off on the weekends and I turn it off at certain times, but I have to be reachable. I have to return emails and text. I have to. I mean, that's how it is. And, for people, some assistants I have where they like, 6 hours go by and I don't have answer for something. I'm like, what, like, did you fell off the earth? Like, seriously, you know?
Well, she saw, I think what helped her was also when she worked at Jared, her first job, she saw several people, interns before and after, get fired.
Yeah.
For stupid things.
Yeah.
Stupid things.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you know, that becomes also, I mean, you know, it's not easy to work with the personalities and, you know, I mean, same for me, you know, I don't know, sometimes actors can come in a good mood, bad mood into my fitting room, or, you know.
Well, we all have bad days. Yeah. Heck yeah,
tearing
man.
the shirts off, you know, with the buttons are flying.
Like, no. I have to sew all those back on.
Give the medication quick.
Yeah, no kidding. But yeah, I always tell people when I mean, celebrities are allowed to have bad days too.
Oh, of course,
You
just
know,
not too many.
not in public, at least.
Well, you know, like at some point it is professional. You have to be, and you know, like for us, we have to prep the clothes. We have to go to the stores and buy them and then bring them. And then, you know, if you tell us the wrong size and we are in the fitting and nothing fits because you gained 20 pounds and didn't tell us, you know, I mean, I've cut pants in the back all the way up to even be able to close and take a picture for a director. You know, it's just like, but yeah, so
I love the movie Magic. You know, I live along the beach here, and it'll be wintertime. It's like November, December, January, when it's not warm. And you know, so it's like 40, 45, 50 degrees, you know, almost like it is now. But you'll see them doing a photo shoot in like summer gear because they're
oh yeah,
they're way out. And I'm like, you could just see these models just freezing, running in the water and playing like it's summertime. And you're like,
oh yeah. I mean, when I was in Bulgaria on that film, same thing. We were shooting New York City summer, and it's freaking snowing in Bulgaria, you know, like November. So I have the, you know, I cast in tiny little dresses and little silk things, and you know, we have like the coats and the Uggs and the, you know, on and off. And I mean, at some point it was even the breath was, you know, they could see the breath, so they were trying to put ice cubes in their mouth too, so they don't have, I mean,
cool their breath down. Yeah,
it just got crazy. So yeah, it's definitely, it's, weather is a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's because you cannot control it unless you're on an indoor set.
Yeah. Some shows are only indoor, you know, a lot of sitcoms, a lot of like TV shows, but.
Well, even I was over at the Raleigh Studios in Manhattan Beach, and they did CSI Miami there.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, Miami. So they're inside the offices, and you know, behind the windows, the fake windows, were all the scenery from Miami. Wow. And I'm like, and here we are in California. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
It's magic, like movie magic, like you said.
Yeah. What are the things that you wish you knew before you started?
I mean, I think it would have been nice to have a mentor. Okay. That's why I do a lot of the mentoring, because I feel like it would be nice to have someone to ask, you know, like I remember having to do my deal for Clueless. You know, I didn't have an agent yet, and it was like scary because I didn't really know how to negotiate, you know, with the studio. I didn't know really what to ask for, that I can get a rent a car or, you know, be paid for gas or whatever. So I think that's why I do that now, because that's, you know, it's then the kids have someone to ask, you know, like, how do I do it? You know, how do I go on the interview? How do I, you know, present myself? Or, you know, how do you do the presentation boards even for meetings? I don't know. I think that, you know, you just kind of learn as you go. You know, you really, I mean, and each job is so different. I think that, you know, you become very adaptable because you have so many different personalities, and you have very, you know, each job is with different group of people that you have to meet and get to know and communicate. You know, it's interesting. I think that maybe that's what I didn't know, like how intense that would be. You know, it's like creating the families for 2 months, 3, 4, 7 months, and then, you know, you split up.
Yeah.
You go and meet the next family, you know.
Is that difficult? I mean, are there crews that you really enjoy?
Yeah, I think so.
And then you're like gone.
Yeah.
We do the same thing. Like when I go to a rodeo, I'm that way. You know, we work together every day for 14 hours. It's a struggle. We're in it together, and then
Yeah, like I did the show with Drew. I mean, I know Drew since Wedding Singer and Never Been Kissed. And then we got together again on Santa Clarita Diet, and 3 years, of like kind of connecting again. And then I just don't really see her now. She lives in New York. Like, so it's interesting, I mean, Alicia Silverstone, I'm still friends, and she lives in LA in Topanga. I mean, in the Laurel Canyon. So it's nice. At least we have, more contact and, get to hang out a little bit. But
When you're home.
Yeah, when I'm home. When she's home, which
Yeah.
she's away a lot as well.
Yeah.
But it's a great life. I wouldn't change it for anything. I mean, it's really, I really get to be creative and get paid for it, and see the world, and see my movies on screen. It really is a great satisfaction.
That was the question I was going to ask you at the end. Was, so many of us kind of go through life and just day in, day out, drive on the 405 freeway, going to work. You've done so many different things that have impacted so many people. I mean, how is that part of it for you?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, as I said, to get the emails or DMs or, from viewers or young kids who are starting out, or kids are in art school or film school, costume designer, young kids that I changed their lives because they saw my movie and they get so inspired, and I'm inspiring to them, and that means a lot. I mean, it truly does. To talk to people about Clueless 25 years later, and how that has impacted them, and how they impacted maybe even their daughters, that they're now watching the movie together. It's really like what you said about your wife too. I mean, it's so cool to have that experience, that something you've done made a difference, on people. And I think now more and more I really want to get into more teaching and mentoring, and kind of segue from a lot of production into that world to share what I know. And I think kind of share the creativity and share my experience, how to navigate this world and how to get inspired. I think that's really important. Sometimes we get so bogged down with the phone and Google and all this stuff, and we get stuck, so I think I'm good with that. I can help all kinds of people to kind of get to that core. What is that? What ignites that spark, that creative spark for each of us, which I think we are looking for. Yeah. In our daily lives, in our, creative lives.
The full circle. I mean, that's that's neat. Yeah. That's cool. So what's the best way for my listeners to follow you, see what you have going on? Is it Instagram? Is it
Instagram? Yes, it's at It's Mona May. So ITSMONAMAY at It's Mona May. And I have really a lot of fun with my Instagram. I post a lot of fun stuff. I used to do Mona May Minute. I just got so busy, but it's fun. I really love my Instagram. And of course, if somebody wants to check more of my work, they can go to my website, monamay.com, and look in depth at sketches and kind of the process, which is really cool. Yeah. I think it's more informative, kind of in depth about my work. So I think those two places, and they can always DM me and say hi, and always looking for new opportunities. And
she might be on the plane, so be patient.
Yes, please be patient. It may take a day or two.
How many fedoras do you own?
Many.
Many.
This just got in Vancouver, so I travel, and I'm so looking forward to Berlin because a
lot of fedoras are.
A lot of good vintage stores.
Good hats.
Open, like from the 40s and 30s, like super cool. And I have kind of a small head, so I kind of get this stuff that not a lot of people will fit. So I'm like,
oh, perfect.
But
I'm average size, so it's very difficult for me to do that.
Yeah, they get snatched up. They definitely get snatched up. But I'm kind of have a signature with my hat. So
well, I work for Stetson, so
all right, I'll have to catch you. Yeah,
don't hit me up. Exactly.
Add to the collection.
I can't have enough, right?
Yep.
All right, thank you so much for your time, and have a great trip to Berlin.
Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you.
Tell your mom I said hi.
I will. And say hi to your wife for me, please, and your daughter.
I will. Thanks, Mona.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.